I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle. A federal district judge in Tampa has vacated Biden's CDC national mask mandate for planes and other modes of public transportation. We're going to have more on this monumental ruling, a ruling for freedom, in just a bit. But for now, sayonara, sucker. We begin tonight with the old debate trap. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, imagine asking Nick Saban to tolerate a game where all the referees are known to hate the Alabama football team. Now, in fact, these referees have made public statements saying how much they despise the Crimson Tide. Well, that's pretty much been the situation with Republican presidential candidates and the moderators chosen by the Commission on Presidential Debates. And after years of conservatives urging the RNC, saying, please cut ties with this ridiculous organization, on Friday, it finally did. Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel said in a statement, we are going to find newer, better debate platforms to ensure that future nominees are not forced to go through the biased CPD in order to make the case to the American people. Now, the gnashing of teeth that you can imagine that followed was predictable.
This is a big deal, another blow to our democracy. It's also a virtual guarantee that America will retreat further into its partisan echo chamber.
Once the Republican Party decided that the American free press is bad, that journalism is something they can not only do without, but that they are against as a party, well, yeah, this is where that ends.
No, Rach, they're not against journalists, but they are against playing in rigged games.
It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
I want to make sure we get that for the record, because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror.
Get the transcript.
He did, in fact, sir. So let me call it an act of terror.
Can you say that a little louder, Candy?
He did call it an act of terror.
Give me the transcript, Candy. And then there's the time one of those unbiased moderators began a primary debate with personal questions.
Your ex-wife gave an interview to ABC News and another interview at the Washington Post. In it, she says that you came to her in 1999, at a time when you were having an affair. She says you asked her, sir, to enter into an open marriage. Would you like to take some time to respond to that?
No, but I will. I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
John had to adjust his Depends there that moment. Then there's the time CNBC turned CNN hack John Harwood played his preferred role of Dem operative.
Mr. Trump, yes, you've done very well in this campaign so far by promising to build a wall and make another country pay for it. Right. And make Americans better off because your greatness would replace the stupidity and incompetence of others.
That's right.
Let's be honest. Is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign?
Even the guys over at C-SPAN weren't immune and went to great lengths to cover up their bias. Steve Scully was caught seeking advice from the mooch, remember that, who had become a never-Trumper, when his direct message was mistakenly put out as a tweet. Of course, Trump called him out, and he ended up being right. Now, I could go on and on, but why bother? We all know that these so-called journalists, well, we know how they feel about conservatives. And as you can see from the way they treated old Romney and Gingrich and Santorum, so many others, this isn't limited to Trump. The notion that democracy somehow requires that conservative candidates submit to horribly biased questioning every 4 years, that is ludicrous. Unless democracy, of course, was meaningless back in 1858 when Lincoln faced off against Douglas in one of the most storied debates in U.S. political history, with no moderators and no panelists. I'd say the American people learned a lot more just by reading exactly what the candidates said back then. Now, the modern-day candidate confab didn't really begin until 1960, when, for the first time in history, the debate between two major presidential candidates, back then John F. Kennedy and Nixon, was televised. Remember, people who listened on the radio thought that Nixon had won. But on camera, it was the opposite. Kennedy looked really cool and polished. Nixon looked kind of sweaty and a little bit shifty. Now, after that, there was a debate lull for 16 years. It picked back up in 1976. But by 2012, it was beyond obvious that the moderators were dead set against whoever the Republicans nominated. Obama was their Lord and Savior, and he had to be venerated and protected at all costs. The bias then worsened over the next few presidential cycles. In 2016, the commentariat hated Trump so much that there were serious demands by supposedly respected media figures that the press had a duty not to be objective when covering Trump.
You cannot cover Trump the way that you would cover a normal person because he is not a normal person.
The Trump presidency has changed the way we cover news.
We have been trying to treat Donald Trump's presidency as if it's normal, trying to normalize what can't be normalized.
Well, there's not been a single moderator from the past, I think, 3 election cycles, except maybe, of course, from Fox, who viewers wouldn't wholeheartedly believe supported the Democratic Party. Now, to say otherwise, looking at these fools, laughable. The press shouldn't complain, though. They have only themselves to blame. Had they actually made the effort to call balls and strikes to report the truth about the results of both Democrat and Republican policies on domestic and foreign affairs, then most Americans would consider the debates important to preserve, exciting, tough, but fair, both sides. Look at just the last few years. Look what the press did. They sold the phony Russian collusion narrative. They buried Hunter's laptop. They silenced those who actually reported on it. Then they pushed the destructive lockdowns and vilified those who questioned the lockdowns. They touted universal masking, even of little kids. They sided with BLM and at the same time covered for violent Antifa and anti-government protesters. And, of course, can't forget this, they obsessed endlessly over January 6th. And then they downplayed inflation. And, come on, they're still covering for China, we know that. Even when they're starving, China is, tens of millions of their own people. So unfortunately, as we've seen in so many other areas of American life, the media lost its prestige and credibility long ago. Just like the public health sector has lost the respect of a huge segment of the American people. Just like the courts, just like the prosecutors, just like the intel agencies, even the Pentagon. They've all become hyper-partisan. But remember, they're supposed to work for us. But too often, it seems like they're working against us and the ideals that made our country great. For many years, the GOP was run by the Bushes and the Cheneys, and those folks have proven over and over that they would rather lose to the Democrats than actually do what the Republican voters want. So I think they were kind of happy to live with a biased press corps because they hated their own voters more than they feared the left. Even Romney, who was treated horribly in 2012, you just saw that clip. He was happy to go down quietly rather than rock the bipartisan establishment boat. But my friends, those days are over. Republicans have new leaders now, leaders who actually think we're right and that giving power to the hard left is bad for America. So the GOP is finally beginning to stand up for itself. And the country, as a result, will be better off. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.